Welcome to the Swedish Junior Hockey Podcast. This is the first episode of season 2. Today's guest, Bryant Perrier, from from British Columbia, but the general manager and junior coach, and we'll talk a little bit about your role in Amal in Sweden. Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Jacob. My pleasure.
All right, so let's start with where are you sitting today? Because I'm envisioning that you're not in Sweden yet.
No, I'm. My home is Penticton, British Columbia, Canada, and for people that might not know, it's the West Coast.
Yeah.
So, what I tell everybody, I'm near Vancouver. Then they can put up a geographic point, and everybody knows the city of Vancouver. But I'm actually about 4 hours east of Vancouver. It's called the Okanagan Valley, and it's really one of the most beautiful places you can live. From the border, because I live about 75 kilometers from the U.S. border, Washington State, but from the border all the way up through the valley, and we have this magnificent lake called Okanagan Lake, which is about 120 kilometers long, and the third deepest lake in Canada. It's except for the of course the Great Lakes. There's about 150 wineries from the border all the way, say about 110 kilometers. So, it's a fascinating place. It used to be a lot of fruit trees, apples, cherries, peaches, plums, and of course money wasn't there, and times have changed, and now we're into the vineyards and the grapes and the wines. So if you ever came here, I mean, you can go on a wine tour and have a great time. So,
well, I'll tell you, I've never been on the West Coast. Actually, never been to California, never been to Washington State and BC. So what I know about British Columbia and Vancouver is what I watched on Big Timber on Netflix. So, so that tells you where I'm coming from.
Yeah, great. It's very dynamic. 4 seasons. Yeah, we have 4 seasons. It's the weather's obviously because of the change in the weather climate, and so we're very warm in the summer. And actually today, right now, we're 33 Celsius. So it's a warm day, and it's actually beautiful. So if you're an outdoors person, if you like mountain biking, rock climbing, of course, water sports is front and center. And we have my city separated by 2 lakes, and then south side of Penticton is a lake called Skaha Lake. It's much smaller, but both lakes are surrounded by beaches, and it's a big tourist attraction in the summertime. So
nice.
The population here triples in the summer, triples in population. So
yeah. But so there's 2 reasons I wanted to have you on. Of course, you are currently in, your role is to be the sports director, and I know you're also coaching, so general managers of the juniors, but also the youth side, all of youth sports in Amal, right?
Correct. Yes.
And then a little bit uniqueness there, of course, is that with your Canadian, you've been in other countries in Europe and long history in Canada, and I thought it would be good to kind of talk about your view, because you've been there now for 3 years, I believe, and your view of Swedish juniors, and you stayed, and so that's kind of, and then also I want to talk about your role as an advisor, and we see posts from you, Tom, a few times of people that have been signed from Canada to play in Sweden, and then some Europeans that are coming to Canada. So we're going to talk about that as well, because I think it'd be educational. The motive or the goal here with this podcast is really to educate and inform. And one of the questions that I often get, so if we go to the kind of the Swedish side and start there, one of the questions I often get is, it's hard for us to know, this is coming from scouts and general managers in the North American juniors, it's hard for us to know what level and how it compares. So that's kind of where I want to go today.
Sure. Yeah, so, I think well, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead.
So let's start with Amal. So
sure.
Where is Amal for those who don't know? And Amal is and how do you say it for people that are in America? Because it has 2 letters out of 4
Yeah.
that doesn't exist in the English letter.
Yeah, let's start with the pronunciation. So the hyphen O is and in the letter A, it means O. So if it has the 2 hyphens, it would pronounce that letter according to how it's written. So if it's an A, it would be A. But if there's an O above the apostrophe above the A, it's O. So it's pronounced Omal.
Yeah.
Amal. And so for the North American, it's not Amel, it's Omal. And there was a movie. I don't know. You can go look it up, but they made a movie about Omal years and years ago, and it actually put them on the planet, North America and Europe, everywhere. So, and I don't really want to pronounce the name of the movie, but it's Omal blank Omal.
I
And
haven't heard
yeah,
about that one, but you piqued my
oh
interest.
yeah, it's pretty funny, but you can it's on you could yeah look it up, you can type in Omal, and they're famous for this. So but it's a little town where it's central Sweden on the east side of the Scandinavian, or actually Scandinavian side of by Gothenburg, and we're close to Norway, not far from, we're about 2 hours from Norway, Omal is. And of course Finland is right, a neighbor. And then on the south side is Denmark. But on the Stockholm side would be the European side. So Germany would be their neighbor. So I'm actually more on the Scandinavian side, if you will, but central, because Sweden's a big country, and you don't realize, everybody goes, "Oh, it's small." Yeah, it's small in population, but the land area is significant. So travel, and if you look at people that follow the SHL, the Swedish Hockey League, which is their top pro league, and of course, many Swedish players have played in the NHL, great ones, Hall of Famers, and they keep producing great players, these great Swedish players. These guys travel a lot by air to the games because it's just so far to take a bus. So yeah, it's an amazing country, and of course we are on the Western Hemisphere, so a lot of the culture is the same actually. So in Canada we mind our own business. In Sweden they mind their own business. In Canada we're friendly, but to a point. We always we're known for our slangs like hey, and we always apologize. So if somebody's on the street and you happen to get in their lane of traffic, we'll say we're sorry. So we're good at those things, and the Swedes are the same way. So Canadians and Swedes connect pretty good. And when I got over there, Jacob, it was for me it was an instant connect, and I just needed to navigate my way through, and obviously show my bosses and the team and the players and the community that that I was going to accomplish what I said that I was going to accomplish, what I laid out for everybody. So, and I had a lot of help along the way and a lot of great support by my president, and back then the original sports director Frederick O'Grin and Mikkel Enberg. Those are the 2 gentlemen that hired me, and yeah, it's been a great experience for me, and I enjoy working for both of them. But mostly, I like the game of hockey for the simple reason is I like working with players, and I like to see not just as players, but most importantly as human beings, and
Yeah.
watch that mental development through from the beginning of the season. Again, is great to watch.
So how did you end up? I think that's how we first connected, because I think I asked you a question. How the heck did you end up in Ormond?
Well, so I have some connections in Europe, and very grateful for those friends of mine that felt that I would do very well as a coach there, and with my mentality. And then, of course, as the longer I spent, it's like anything. The more you learn about yourself and you learn what your strengths and weaknesses are. But I think there's a word called humility through all this, because as all hockey people, it's not been easy. If you've been down the road as long as I have, and there's other coaches that can speak the same language. I think we appreciate the fact that we can get up every day and work in this business. And I tell everybody this: look, I mean, I get paid for watching 10 players chase a black disc that's 3 inches in diameter. I mean, it's spectacular. So it's
Yeah.
not really a job to me. It's just watch these young guys. I was one of them growing up, aspiring to be a great NHL player, or one of those guys, or how can I tag on to this? What do I need to do? And I think now there's so much information. We're in an overload. When I grew up, there was very little information, and now we're in a kind of an overload process. And I think, so I've just taken this on and said, okay, I will apply what I've learned, what I've known. And, the greatest teacher is the one through your mistakes and through the life lessons that you go through. As long as you learn from them and move and teach yourself and have good people around you, you got a chance. So anyway, I got to Sweden because I was actually in Denmark through the COVID year where it shut everything down. And I had a connection that, I mean, obviously had to get the job and go through the interview process, but I landed the job in Rungsted. And Rungsted, Denmark is one of the largest hockey programs, if not the larger Denmark. And viably speaking, financially very, very stable and sound. So yeah, they felt that I was the right fit, got the job. And then 2 months in, 2.5 months in, all of a sudden we were just blasted and inundated with this COVID. So we were doing everything by virtual meeting. We couldn't have contact with the players. Then it became, 5 players max. You can only groups of 5. We couldn't go on the ice. So at the end of all this, there was a really mutual respect of how we were going to, try and move forward. Both parties decided, yeah, this isn't going to work for them financially. And they said, I mean, I can't, because I'm a Canadian, I can't hang on waiting for COVID to make a decision. Anyway, once it kind of broke through, we realized that, okay, I'm not going to return. And a financial, what they put out that way is there was another coach, it was me from Sweden. So we both opted out, and there was a meeting, and it was mutual. And then the Swedish job, the Amal job fell in my lap. It was just like 2.5 weeks later, I made a contact through a friend that said there could be a job there. Didn't know anything about it. Sent my resume, and within the day, Mikkel Enberg had contacted me, and within, I don't know, I think 4 days I was hired. So, and why I took the job right away too is because I knew that I had the bird in my hand, and there was other opportunities, but we weren't sure about COVID. And
Yeah.
Mel and Frederick O'Grin and Mikkel Enberg had assured me that, hey, we're going to hire you and we're going to make this work, right to the 11th hour. And Mikkel has a lot of experience with Canadians, and that was the other reason, a big factor why I took the job, is because he has that knowledge of how the Canadian system, works, visas, and also he's pretty about navigating through the COVID. So yeah, we took that job, and the rest has been kind of history. And then every year we just been building slowly, come in there, and we took the junior 20. I took the junior 20 team with my coaching staff, great guys, enjoyed, and we had a lot of fun together because that was a big part of, why you coach. So you want to show your players from a coaching standpoint that when we go on the ice, we work hard, but we also have to enjoy practice. And when somebody, skating down the blue line trips them, I mean, you laugh at it because it's just a funny thing. And because the players are watching the coaches going, okay, what are they going to do? So they're like, oh boy, we better not do anything. And I'm like, it's funny, and we have to enjoy every moment together. So, I think as soon as they saw my personality, then the Swedish players started to lighten up because they wouldn't talk to me for the first month. Like, it
Okay.
was not a word. So, and I utilize my coach as well. I really gained a get respect for them, and we're friends today. Like, we're actually communicate all the time while I'm in, in Penticton. And so I learned a lot from my coaching staff. I learned a lot from my players. And I think in turn, I like to think that they got a lot out of me, not just in terms of, learning the game, but, you know, being a good person and having humility
Yeah.
and empathy for these guys, because struggling to find their identity in life, not even hockey, but every day you can see, their struggles and you can feel it. So
Yeah.
I try to make sure you connect with everybody. Every day I try to always say something to everybody before practice, at practice, or after practice. And my goal was to get to every player, whether it was for 10, 12 seconds, 15 seconds, sometimes it's 10 minutes, but I try to connect with everybody every single practice. And it might not be, some guys don't really like to talk much, but you go over there and you pat them on the shin, how's your day? How's school? Yeah, good, Bryant. How are you? Good. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. And that's all they need, so it's helped
So,
out too. I've learned a lot as a coach.
so,
Yeah,
so
it's been
let,
great.
so let's talk a little bit about for those who. So if you look up Amal on Elite Prospects, you know, just like most smaller, it's not Färjestad, it's not Djurgården, it's not Leksand or Örebro. It's a small community, small sports organization, but they have an elite or a A-laget, which is the men's team, which plays in
Yes.
Division Two, right?
Yes. Division two.
Division Two, so that's a fourth division in. So you have SHL, Allsvenskan, Hockeyettan, and Division Two, and then
Yep.
the juniors, so the J18 plays in Division One,
One. Yep.
and the J20 is in Division One.
One. It's
So,
amazing. It's amazing, actually.
but it's fairly common. But I think that so.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
do.
So what does that mean? All right. So let's start with Hockey Tvåan, or Division Two for the men's league. So here in the U.S. you got NHL, AHL, ECHL,
Yeah.
SPHL, FHL. Right. Those are the five
Yeah.
pro leagues. So if you take the guys that are in Division Two, now you didn't coach them while you were there directly, right?
No, but I ran practice. So I'm involved a lot in the practices. So I do coach the whole group, like the 20s, the J20s, and the Division two. There'll be times where they will join. We'll come together, or they'll have 4 or 5 guys. And the year before, we had all the imports practice with me from Canada.
Okay.
So I think I got a pretty good handle on the level of what you're saying here.
Yeah. So I think it's important for people to understand, like, Division Two versus Division One is a big difference, right? The
Yeah.
Division One, third level, those guys are pretty much pros, or mostly pros, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
in
think.
Division Two, how many of those guys are full-time pros?
Yeah, the imports, and McKell's different than a lot of these teams because actually it depends where you play in the country. So I think we should start there. So by region, where we are located, it's a very good level of hockey. But once you start to move south, it becomes, the level is not the same. But west, east, north, it seems to be pretty consistent, and maybe that's to do, the financial backing these teams have. Like you need money to function properly in Division two.
Yeah.
Because you need to bring players in. If you want to be good, you can go with all seeds, but at the end of the day, they might not get you over the top. They're good, don't get me wrong, but sometimes you need 2 or 3 imports, to help push the group there. And you got to find the right people. Like, so it's a juggling act because sometimes North Americans, depending on their advisors, their agents being said to them, not from my experience, we can get into this after, but I think it's important that you recruit a good quality character guy. And most of the players that I've seen in Omo have either played youth, which is the highest level of Canadian college hockey, and what's sort of under their umbrella, are the Western Hockey League, the the Ontario Hockey League, and the Canadian Junior. Those are the players that fall under that umbrella in a youth sport. So it's a very good level. And then of Division One NCAA, there was a player from RPI. There's been players from some of the Ivy League schools in Division One. The Division Three players that come to Amal, Adrian College, St. Norbert College. Those are high-end Division Three. Like a lot of those players, junior. I don't think they could make those rosters in Division Three or St. Norbert. So the level's high, and then you will have a mix. Like last year, we had a player that was drafted 6th round, St. Louis Blues. And so what happens? These guys, they get drafted. There's sometimes poor decisions being made or bad choices. Could be injuries. Anyway, somehow they get lost in the shuffle of the taking the steps up the ladder to achieve their goal. And that's obviously to playing NHL. But some guys don't make it there. But they have to, be organize themselves and say, okay, I'm not going this direction. Maybe I got to take a step back, and I got to just, prove myself again that I can get, back to where I need to go. And so Division Two in Sweden gives a lot of guys a second chance to, to get their credentials back in order. And also it will give them a new life in hockey. And especially if you come to Sweden and you listen to the people that have been there, and you play hard every day, and you come to practice, and you got to treat this like a job. And I know they want the guys to have fun, but it's important. The better you play, the harder you play, the better that you are trying to help those Swedish players become better. That goes a long way in your reputation, especially in Sweden, because if you're a good player at Division Two, somebody in Division One's on your door immediately. Within 2 months, somebody's going to be talking to Mikkel or the sports director or the manager, and if you move to that level and you play well there, well, Hockey Allsvenskan, as we know, is a terrific level. I mean, so that's probably borderline American Hockey League level. So they're right there knocking on your door
especially
again.
Today, right? I mean, this
absolutely
year,
scary good.
The level of Hockey Allsvenskan has gotten really, really good, and a lot of that is because they have the organizations that are there are long time. Södertälje, AIK, Djurgården. I mean, these Västerås, Brynäs. I mean, these guys, Björklöven, very, very old time, very solid foundational.
And they've come from they didn't start as hockey programs. They started in football or soccer, right? And so it's amazing. And they switched gears and went into hockey. But you're right, the foundation, the culture of their program endures. It doesn't matter who's there. They have a philosophy. It's like Feliastad. They have a philosophy on how they are going to, and they got back to it. They got away from it for a couple of years, but now they've got back to that, that traditional. We want to have this type of style of play. We want this type of Swedish player, but they're not. They're also open to bringing in the imports from all over, from Canada, United States, even Europe. And but you can see the culture of these teams, and that's why they're so good. But the player also good recruiting. Money in Sweden, I know it's dropped down, but you can make a living. It gives you a good lifestyle, and like guys that are trying to play, this gives you some hope that maybe you can get back.
And so I'm looking at the roster for this is the 20. So this is the new roster. It's got 3 imports, well, 4 imports, but one Canadian, 2 U.S. players. But they're solid, coming right out of college. A couple of them are D3, but one of them I think is a NCAA. I think one of them played at University of Michigan and University of Miami. Solid background. So I mean, these guys are not. Now, are they are they the first liners in NCAA? No, those guys are going to go in and play in the ECHL or AHL or NHL. But they've played. They're solid players. So my point that I'm trying to make in this discussion is Division II, although it's the fourth level in Sweden, it's pretty good hockey. And
yeah.
And then the fun part about it is, so you guys play in which are you in the southern? How's it divided with Division II?
Yeah, it's in 4 divisions. There's a lot of teams.
Yeah.
So you got north, south, east, west, and I don't know the exact number, but I think it's over 70 teams. Like,
yeah, but
it's amazing how many teams.
And their rivalries.
We're in the West.
Yeah,
we play in the West. Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, let's switch to J20, which is where you're coaching both J18 and J20, and then you're in charge of the youth programs there as well. But Division I. So you have, let's talk about the different divisions starting in J20. You have J20 National, you have J20 Regional, and then you have J20 Division I. So when you come in from the outside, and because I'm sure you've watched some of the J20 National teams out there, which one's the closest? Färjestad?
No. Yeah, they will. Not the Färjestad's 18, I believe.
Yeah. I didn't know 18. Which one is the closest geographical that you would go and watch.
Örebro is, would be two and a half hours from us. Yeah.
All right. So when you look at J20 National in Sweden and you compare that to your background in Canada, how does it compare?
Yeah, the national program is outstanding. So the level is very technically good. They're very skilled. They emphasize a lot of skill development, puck control, precise passing, basically the skating, the speed, the tempo of the game. And so a lot of those players are coming now to Canada because we haven't talked about the BCHL, but they've become independent and they broke away from Hockey Canada. And this morning I read that West Kelowna Warriors recruited 2 Swedish J20 national players. So they're equivalent to, and so if we want to talk about Junior A and how you break it down, the USHL is on its own. I mean, they're their own entity. They run their league like a WHL league. So we don't even compare this. But if you look at the NUL, the North American Hockey League, the BCHL, those are the 2 leagues right now, in my opinion, that are 1 and 2 in North America. So these players are coming into BC. BC is a very good league.
Yep.
So you have to be exceptional play in that league. And most of these teams are carrying pre-scholarship players. Their lineup is between 12 and 17 committed players every year to Division I U.S. College hockey. And then most of these players play 1 or 2 years and they get drafted in the NHL. So the level is extremely high. So that's pretty comparable when we talk about the national J20 and where those players fit in. I think the only difference between BC and the national program is that we're just a little more physical.
Yep.
And puck retrieval is emphasized a lot in Canada, and possession is also emphasized in Sweden, which I like that. That's why I wrote the game. But I also think that the Canadian game, and I can't speak for the NUL, the North American League, because they're skilled too. But I think both leagues will play more physical, and that's where the adjustment the Swedish players have to make. At our level, at the regional level, now it drops down, but our top guys, our top 3 or 4 players could play in the BC League, but they wouldn't be first line players. They would be 3rd and 4th line players. Obviously, they would move up depending on their mentality, because there's that adjustment when you switch countries, and both ways. This isn't a Canadian thing. This is just a human being thing. Like, and people get, oh, well, the Swedes can't, the Euros can't play in North America. It's not true. It's all about individual people. It's how they're socialized and coming into the country. So you need a really good agent or advisor. You need to be surrounded by quality people all the way. The team you select, the coach, the manager, the owner, the assistant coaches in Canada, they have to be completely aware of the work they have to do to get these guys socialized, bring them into their culture, and then get to play at the level they expect. It takes work, but when you do that, you're going to get a really good hockey player. Because one thing about the Swedes, they're really disciplined in how they practice and their behavior. When the coaches, the players listen and they do what the coach says. And
so let me
it's impressive.
Let me ask you about all right, what about when you go down to J20 region? Let's explain too that the J20 national, there's not that many teams in Sweden at that level.
No.
And the difference, so for example, at the J18, there is no J18 national. So there you have J18 region, and after Christmas, you take the top teams and they become the national. But in J20, correct, all the SHL teams they have an automatic spot at the J20. Yeah. So there's not that many teams in J20 national, which means there's a lot more team at the region, which used to be called J20 elite. But right, J20 region, so how does the J20 region stack up in versus Canada?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think
or what's the difference?
Real quick is
what's the difference?
It's going to be your national in J20 national. It's you could take 10 players from that lineup, and they could fit anywhere and play junior in Canada, anywhere, and especially at the high, like the NUL, the North American Hockey League, the BCHL, the Alberta Junior Hockey League. Those players can all play at that level and do well and hold their own. And once they get acclimatized to the Canadian game, they'll dominate because they're taught so well. At the regional level, this is why it's so important to have this level, because now you're not going to get 10 players. You're going to get your top 3 players or 4 players that can come over to Canada to play. So it drops off, but because there's so many teams and the coaching's getting better because guys are becoming more educated, because reaching out to these coaches and saying, we have to do a better job, not just skill-wise, but we have to do a better job mentally. And that's where we're behind everywhere. This is not a Swedish thing. This is like a worldwide issue that it's got to come. We've got to fix it. And I think now more people are talking about how important it is to work with your athletes mentally as a coach. So the days when I played, I played for guys that yelled and screamed at me. And of course, when I broke in as a young coach, you coached how you were, but that's, times have evolved. And, here we are 30 years later. I can tell you that, yeah, it's actually a better way of coaching players, because you really, when you dig in on them and you invest your time, they appreciate it. And I find that players, back in the old days, they did it through fear. They played in fear, and that's just, look, we're not criticizing anybody, because that's just the way it was.
Well, I'm a little bit curious about.
I don't blame coaches for any of this. Like, it's the culture. The culture.
Yeah,
the culture's evolved, and
I'm a little bit curious, Brian, about, how many years have you been coaching since, really, I'm looking at your elite prospects, 95, first year, right?
Yeah. So 30 years this year.
30 years, and I'm curious to like, what I hear is enthusiasm about continuous learning, right?
Yeah.
And how different was it for you to come into this culture and this in Sweden, and how much have you learned as a coach, even though you've been doing this
Oh yeah,
for a long time?
yeah. You have to change, and you have to self-analyze yourself, and really got and not be hard on yourself, but you got to critique yourself and say, okay, what areas do I what are my strengths, and then what are my weaknesses? And you've got to surround yourself with good people that can help you with your weaknesses, because you can't do everything. No one's perfect. There's no such thing. So you're also as good as the people that are around you. So I found, when I was younger, you're not sure, you're not programmed. You've never had any mentorship. There was no coaching levels. I mean, it was just like bare bones. And the more you get involved in the national coaching certification program in Canada, and there's ones that we go to in Faliestad, because we affiliate with Faliestad in Omo. So every year, twice a year, there's a coaching seminar, and they're constantly talking about ways to improve. And everybody's brainstorming, and there's new ideas. So when you sit down around a table and a bunch of coaches start talking about, is there a better way? Well, we're not going to reinvent the wheel, but there's always a better way to deal with your athletes. Some of them, are more sensitive than others. Some of these players are just give me the information and I don't want to talk anymore. And some of them have their emotions buried deep inside them, and it takes time, and it's all about trust. So you got to work through it to gain the trust. So here's an analogy with my guys. I said it's not matter how much I know, because I really think I understand the game well and continue to work hard at it. It's how much I care about you. I can only show you. I can't talk about it, because the actions speak louder than. So you have to show them by those actions, and then they latch on to you, and that's when they sell those out, and then you can get them to play any way you want, because I have my Swedes blocking shots and like to block shots, right? I mean, we play defense. We defend our goaltender, and we won't leave the zone, because we have a philosophy in how we play. So, I mean, do you think they liked that when I first came in? No way, right? They wanted to, somebody wanted to go cherry pick at the far blue line so he could, it's the easy way out. But the team wasn't successful. The individual wasn't successful. So we just changed, modified some of these things, but also allowed them to be themselves and be the people they are. I didn't want to restrict that. I love their personalities, because the quirkiness about people is what's fun about having a relationship with them.
Yeah.
So we don't want to be clones. We want these young people to understand that it's good to be who you are, and we're not judging you for it. And that's what's so fun about coaching for me now, because I'm on the other side looking at this going, now I think I've got a formula on how I do it. Where before you're constantly like, should I be this way? Should I be that way? And I tell all my advice to these young coaches, you have to be yourself, and don't try and clone to be somebody else. So you're not Joe Quenville. You're not, the
Babcock.
coach in Babcock, or the guy in Florida. He's, I mean, or the coach in Vegas. You're not these guys. You are who you are, and be yourself. Because I think I find a lot of coaches make these mistakes.
What do you think is the
and they're trying, because somebody said you got to coach like this. You need to coach the style. And I go, no, you don't. You need to coach the way you want to coach.
So what do you think is the difference, or is there a difference between the players, or the commonalities between the players that you've met in Sweden versus when you coached in France or when you coached in BC?
Yeah, I think the change started for me was probably 2000. I'm going to say about 2007 is when I saw an evolution on how the players. I feel the players at that point were okay. we're gonna do what you ask of us. We want to know why.
Yeah.
And it started about there. So before there was no why. This is how we're gonna play. Okay, here's the drill. Let's go. And okay, it was a bunch of cattle, going to get the grain. But about 2007, saw a change, an evolution of, the intellect of these players start coming through where they're going, okay, but why? So then it's like, okay, we have to explain why. And then of course that was like, oh, we can't do that because, these guys, the inmates are running the asylum. And it's like, no, they're not. I think what we have to understand is they want to build a relationship with you. The players want more from you. They just don't want to be number 16 on the ice. They want to be number 16 and the name,
Yeah.
there's the last name, and inside that jersey, what makes that guy go. So that's when it started. And I think once we got into when I went to France in 2012, then there was another movement, and it was why? Why do we have to do it? And explain it. Explain in detail why. So there's a why, and then I need more feedback on why you're making us do it. What's it going to do for me? How is it going to make me better? So there's a why, and then a why of the explanation to how is it going to benefit me, coach? And I saw that happen in about 2014. So I knew this was coming, and I just kept, like I'm like you. I think we both are nerds in hockey, and you're reading all the time and you're listening. Like I read all these, especially guys that have been around, or and they're sharing all this good information. Like just got to be a sponge and read it all, and then you process it and you compute what you need and you spit the rest out, and you could see the change was there. Now the players are dynamic. We have social media. They're informed everywhere. They're comparing against you versus what you said to the other 5 players in the one-on-one meeting that you had during the week. They're talking all the time. So as a coach, you have to be always transparent with your players. Always tell them the truth. You want to make sure that you give them a directive where they can meet the directive. That you're not trying to give them something where there's no way they can get their teeth in it, because they'll really struggle emotionally. And these players also, they want to be pushed. And so maybe there's a misconception, okay, are they a little bit softer? The word I hear a lot is soft. Well, they're different. It's a different group. Yeah. And some players, when we played, they were the same way. So when we say, they're soft today, well, back when I played, it was the same. So I can reflect back on guys I played with. Well, there was guys that didn't want to go in the corner and get the puck, and they were skilled guys. There was big, strong defensemen that would, bulldoze you over wherever you were on the ice. And it's the same here today. The difference is that the information that these young people have, it's everywhere. They're informed. You can't fool them. You can't trick them. And if you do, you're going to lose them. And they shut you out immediately. And that's what's happening in the NHL, in my opinion, today, is that it's a friendship, but it's almost like you have to bend and flex like an oak tree and, ask their opinion. They still respect that there's a border of, this is your territory. We know you're the coach, so we know you have to do a job, and it's not an easy job because you're under pressure to win. You've got the general manager, you've got the ownership group, but I think the player today, they're informed, but they want to be pushed, and they still want to be disciplined. And I think in my opinion, I think maybe that's a little bit lost. They think that the players we've gone to the other side of this thing, we're too soft on them, or we're too forgiving. I don't know if soft's the right word, but they're too forgiving, or we bury things under the rug. And I'm not sure. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I think that does happen. But generally speaking, from my experience, you got to show these guys that you care about them. You got to listen to them and listen to where they're at, And then you want to make sure that when you're coaching them that, you get them in a role where they can succeed.
So
But they're going to have to do the tough thing. They're going to have to work hard. And I tell my guys, we're not going to compromise work ethic. We're not going to compromise punctuality, and we're not going to compromise respect. These three elements, that's all the rules I have. I have no other rules. These are the rules we have, the same. And if you are the same, then you will become a better player. But mostly you're going to grow as a person because they're going to figure things out emotionally. Right? They're young. Brain harness isn't developed in a male till he's 25. So we're dealing with irrational ideas, as the day goes along. So as a coach, you've got to be grounded. You are, that's why you are the leader. You have to show that this is the direction we're going every day. And even if you're struggling, be consistent and talk to them and explain it's okay to struggle. It's okay to go through adversity. But this is what we need to do to elevate ourselves out of it. And it all comes down to work ethic. 100% work ethic.
So let's segue this into the conversation on your other role, because I think that there's a lot of strong correlations between you, the coach, and the general manager, but then also your family advisor. So give a little background on how you got into that, and how does that differ, or does it differ?
That's a really good question. The advisor helped me become a better person. I honestly believe that, like everywhere. I mean, I'm like a beetle with antennas now. I'm so aware of what's happening in my surroundings. I can walk into a dressing room and I can feel tension, or I can feel joy. I can look around and I can spot people within seconds, and I know who to target. I know the hot spots are, the trouble areas are, because you get them for, let's face it, you get to see them for 2.5 hours a day, unless you're on a big road trip or you're doing off ice training or video. That might be 3.5 hours in the day. The rest of the time, they're with their families, they're at school, they're in their environment, they're at work doing a work course, and you don't know what's going on. You don't know what happens. But when they come to the rink, has to be, where they can come and feel safe, and they can come and let their hair down, so to speak, and and put all their worries in a shoebox, if you will. Come and have fun. And if they come to the rink and that environment's not, part and parcel of how you're going to run your hockey club, if it's too intense, then these players don't feel that that's a release for them. And I think that's why players quit hockey. That's one of the reasons. There's other reasons, but from my experience, watching this now for a number of years. But I think as an advisor, I'm able now, coach everybody, because I have a small group of clients that I work with, and I coach them every day. And it's not about, okay, you're going to go play in Vernon, British Columbia with the Vipers. You're going to play in, Bonnyville, Alberta, or you're going to play in, Gothenburg, or even Malmo in the G20 national team. You're not like we talk about, like just real life events that are taking place, and the struggles or the fears they have because they don't understand, how to navigate themselves through a tryout, or it could be, pressure from friends. It could be pressure at home. So many things happen in their day that they become overwhelmed. So as an advisor, I don't just advise players, I advise parents, because you got to get them settled down too, because they are the apple tree. And if the apple tree is not well, then the apple that comes off it is going to be unhealthy too. So we need a nice, healthy apple tree. So when the apple comes off it, it's nice and, it's red, and it's a nice, juicy, big, healthy. So we want the correlation between mom and dad and the player. We want harmony between them. So, and because a lot of them, they lock the horns. This is how the opinion of the parent is, and the opinion of the young man. And of course, we were all 17, 18. We knew everything. I mean, we all did. So, but that's where my job comes in too, because I help ground these young guys to say, look, that's not reality. You don't, you're living in a fantasy, and that's not how it's going to go out there. Here's how it goes. So they go and listen to this mumble jumble. And then when they talk to me, I'm like the salt and pepper chips, right? But I give this consistency and a shot in the arm of honesty and respect at the same time. So I bring them back down to where they need to go. And so the parents are also part of that process. And so that's what I do as an advisor. And that's how it affects me as a coach, because now I think that I can really multitask when I'm doing this job. Like I can really see things that I didn't when I was younger. Um, I'm able to handle things that it's like a pressure cooker to the outside person. Like, if you hear something and go, I don't know how he deals with it. Well, when you're conditioned and you're trained to deal every day and you solve the help solve, we're not going to fix everything, but generally we can, there's no such thing as can't. We can almost get everything fixed. So it's not pressure. It's the challenges of life. It's the obstacles in the road. The road that's under construction. There's always going to be something. Your journey down the road there's always going to be a hiccup. So you got to also take it as, for me, take it as, okay, what can I learn from this? And what is it going to do to make me better? So if for instance, I tell our goalies, they let a goal in or something, or they're down on themselves, or their team takes a penalty, and goalies are like, why is he so undisciplined? I said, oh, this is awesome. I talked to one of my goalies and he goes, what are you talking about? I go, well, this is a great moment for you. Well, what do you mean? I go, you have a chance now to be the best penalty killer on the team, and you should embrace that moment. So I tell all our clients, I said, or I suggest to our clients, instead of like this being a negative, here's an opportunity for you to do something in that moment to help your team kill that penalty, be the best, challenge yourself positively. And I think sometimes we take all the negative, everything's so negative, we draw so much negative energy that it's like a ship, in the ocean, and you have a rudder and you have the sails, but we don't have the motor operating. So we're relying on the wind. And sometimes when the wind comes and it's a big gust of wind, that's the negativity coming at you. And instead, hanging on to your steering mechanism, you let it go, and your ship goes in the direction of that negativity. So you got to steer your ship through that heavy wind, and you got to keep yourself on track. You got to keep that ship navigating to the GPS of where you're headed. And it's the same thing for these young guys. Easier said than done.
Yeah.
But I think when they're around people that understand these things and have been through it, and that's where experience comes in, then over time, they see that the reference points are huge and they live it. And then they come back to you and say, you wouldn't believe it's almost like deja vu. And I go, it is. It is. And that's the way it's supposed to be. So it's good that this is happening for them, that they go through adversity. We want them to scrape their knee. We want them to fall down. So all the parents listening, it's okay for your kids to have setbacks. Don't stand over top of them and figure it out all the time. And then if they make the wrong choice, they're going to learn. And that's also how you help build leadership.
So the most of the people that you're working with now, are they in BC, or are you kind of now, when you've been gone I know you come back during the summers, but how does that work? Or who's your clients now?
Most of them are my Canadian guys. I mean, I have a few. I place so what happens? We get a few of these guys are graduating from university and they need to be placed. So they contract me out quickly and I get them placed to a team in Sweden. I've got some good contacts through there now. I'm able to help locate positions for players. and it's quick. It's in and out. But I have a core group of guys that I've been with. Small number, small number. Most of them been with me since they've been young. So it's each level. So it could be coming out of minor hockey, and then they go to the first rung of junior. Now they're in junior A. Some of these guys some of them are going to go to college now, Division 1 in the next couple of days. We should have an announcement of one of our players going to the NCAA on a scholarship. So, I mean, it's the process I take them down, but I think also it's the relationship we form. Jacob, the players stay with me. I have a relationship and stay with. So it's great to have that.
Yeah, and I mean, like you're describing, there's two different kinds of players to advise. One is the quick one, where it's more transactional or more player. You have a need because of relationship. You have a team that needs a player, and you hear of a player, and you get him, and you're matchmaker.
Yeah,
different. That's a different than what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Than
those guys are older, right? So I mean, a team will call me in Sweden and say, "Hey, we need a forward." So then I know I just through people, through teams, through managers, owners, they see a player, that really good young guy. You do the research on them. Also, though, I trust, you have a relationship with these guys for years, right? So these managers or owners, it's like a pipeline, right? You just know them. You don't need, after a while, you know how to operate. So they're going to be straight up and honest with you. Because the biggest thing is when you send a player over to Sweden or anywhere, the character of the person's first and foremost in my when I do work with these players, your character is number one. You're not going for a holiday. We want you to enjoy the country, but you're going there to make an impression on the team, to work, to practice hard, to be punctual, show them you're the best player on the team, and to practice extra, and to help out with the youth kids in practice and work with them, and spend as much time socializing yourself in that and immersing yourself in that Swedish culture, especially with those kids. Because if you do it, they'll come to the games and they'll be screaming your name because the kids love the attention and they know that you're from Canada. And there's already an aura about, and again, so it's not about putting anybody in the pedestal. The Swedes just do it. They go, "Oh, from Canada.
Yeah.
You're a great hockey player." It's synonymous with with Canada and hockey, right? It's that instant connection. So if you embrace yourself with those young kids, and you're Canadian or an American or whatever, they'll just eat it up, and you'll be best friends with those kids. As a coach there, I'll go into the dress rooms and I a little positive pep talk, and so the kid, because I don't even know who some of the kids are, right? Some months around, they're young, but I'll be walking Amal, and all of a sudden I hear three kids yelling my name, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? But it's the kids that when I went in their room and gave them the inspirational, let's get fired up to play, and and giving everybody a pound going across the room, well, they love it. So that's also what these players have to do. They have to understand you're going there, you make the impression. The more you do, the better your career could become there. You can make a living for yourself. But first impressions are everything with the Swedes. They won't say nothing. They'll sit back. They'll be polite to you, but there's the boundary. You're not going past it. You need to initiate something to bring yourself into that into their circle, their inner circle. So I'm pretty open, Jacob. I think I'm polite and friendly, and I talk to everybody. So instantly, I just tried to say, okay, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to make an impression, not because it's an acting scene, because this is who you are, and you can leave a footprint. You can leave a footprint, a thumbprint, a handprint all over this, and you can make an impact and change maybe some of the things that they do for the better. And you can learn all the way. You're learning all the time.
So I know we've been going on for about an hour, but I'm curious to kind of maybe wrapping this up here and say, so you've been there 3 years, you're starting on your fourth. Are you a Swede for life, or what's your prediction?
I'm sorry, you cut out there.
Yeah, no, since you've been there for 3 years now, starting your fourth, and you kind of gotten some traction there, but are you? I know British Columbia is nice, but are you a Swede for life, or what's the prediction here?
Yeah, you have to ask Frederick O'Grin that because he, he keeps dropping these hints to me about all this.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think you just, for me, you just got to enjoy every moment that you have. And I think what happens a lot, now everybody knows everybody. We're comfortable. For me, I just want to go back there, and I think there's some things we can do within the program, the infrastructure of the program, and the development model. I think we could even improve it more. And we're going slow, right? Because that's a good thing about me, I think, is I've gone slow there, and I haven't upset the apple cart because I think they don't like that. They wanted everything A, C, D. So we're about D now. So we got to go to E. And, I do want to make some changes. And I think, they're very much more open now to see that we have to take the club to another level in terms of, and everybody looks at wins, right? I mean, the club has not been a successful one at the youth level, except for this past season. The U14s were exceptional and but up until then, I mean, it hasn't been very rewarding. But we're getting closer because we've changed the way we practice. We changed the way we've implemented drills. Like, instead of always teaching skill, we have to teach IQ. Like, put the boys and girls into a scenario of a game environment when you take time and space away and you put them under pressure. Now you teach puck protection. Now you teach puck support to your line mates. But you do it all together rather than, one player, a puck, and a pylon. Unfortunately, it's great to teach it, and I am a big believer in it. But you also have to teach players how to play under pressure and learn how to play together.
yeah,
And that's the thing I've noticed the difference. If there's one thing that I've recognized between Canada and everybody else, Jacob, is Canada finds a way to win. We'll
yeah,
do whatever it takes. I don't think we're any better than anybody else. I don't think we're better skilled. I don't think we shoot the puck better. I don't think we do anything better. I think we're pretty comparable to every country. And especially now that hockey's really evolved everywhere. United States is amazing. The Swedes, I mean, look at the Germans, the hockey is where there's a lot of parity. The difference I can say is that we will do whatever it takes, and that's why we win.
yeah.
So I brought a little bit of that to Amal in a fun way. In a fun
In a
way.
fun way. Well, here, let's wrap this up. So one of the new segments that we're added in this season 2, it's amazing. We've done this for a year, started kind of as a fun thing, really to educate and inform, and that's still the goal. But we partnered up with an organization. We did a couple of episodes back with James Reason on Target Aid. So I'm gonna connect with you. Target Aid is an organization that does fundraising with sports organizations. And what we're starting to do is each guest can pick an organization or a Target Aid fundraising effort. It could be the Börje Salming Foundation, and we're going to partner up with Target Aid and emphasize that and help spread the word. The other part is that if you have your own Target Aid fundraising event, then we'll partner up with that and spread the word as well. So we'll connect with that. We're at the infancy of this, so you're the first one, and I didn't tell you ahead of time, or we would have had a conversation and so on. So look up Target Aid. I think it's targetaid.com. They've got a lot of traction with youth organizations when it comes to fundraising, and we can get you connected there with James and set up a. If you, for example, you may want to collect money for a shooting ramp, or painting the locker room or something, and they have a platform where they can easily spread that message out there, which is pretty cool. Which is why I really like the platform that they have, and so on. So I want to make sure that we can do that with each guest. So
yeah, cool. Thanks,
Bryant. Thanks for spreading the British Columbian joy. It's your passion is spot on. It's what we need in Sweden. So thanks a bunch.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. I really enjoyed this time with you today.
Yeah, thanks.